Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG radio show. I got another slamming queen on the radio show here today. Let me jump into her background and why she's here. So, coming from some of the same experiences that everybody does come from, wondering, do I not feel good enough despite all the talents that she composes? Her desire to change the trajectory of the minority community has been done through financial literacy. And it's challenged her to face her biggest component, herself. In order to save others, you have to understand that you need to be willing to die of your former self in order to grow. And she's realized the more that she's learned about the miseducation surrounding money, the better she sees how powerless it was, but more importantly, see how powerful she is. Her ultimate goal is to help end the generational poverty cycle by equipping people with necessary education and tools to win over not just their finances, but their life. Money doesn't solve everything, but can solve a lot of problems for lack thereof. She is your one-stop financial supermarket with familiar sensibility and financial licenses to carry. Life insurance license, investment license, ladies and gentlemen, Regional Vice President Erica Pressley. Erica, how you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me on this afternoon. This is definitely a step out of my comfort zone, but I said, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Is the people need to hear this. The people need to hear this, and I need to hear the people. So I'm here, and I thank you for the opportunity to jump on your podcast and just welcome me to your platform and with that warm introduction. It's funny when you hear people talking about you, you kind of bubble up in the inside. And you're like, oh, God, it's talking about me. It's talking about me.
That's
But
me.
thank you. Yeah, is that me?
That's,
Is that me? Because I'm very modest by nature. I'm very private, have a very introvert type of personality, but you probably wouldn't know that because I can be social in social settings, but you could also leave me in a room by myself for days and I'll be fine as well. But thank you again for letting me jump on and just using your space, opening up your space to me so that I can get this information out to as many people as possible and then answer some questions that commonly comes to people's mind, but they may not have a resource to get answers from. So I'm here.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to start with the basics. Tell me a story. What even got you into financial literacy? I read some on your background. You had wanted to be a nurse, but now you're in this financial literacy world, changing lives. Not only for current folks, but generationally as well. So let's just start with your story. Why'd you get in there?
Okay. Well, so for me, I came into financial literacy. Honestly, I think it kind of fell into my lap. I can't honestly say that I was looking for it, but the one thing that I was looking for was I was looking for something to make me feel free. And for a lot of us, we equate our resources to how much freedom we can have. And what I mean by that is, for a lot of us, if we're not making enough money, it limits the amount of access. So I know for me, most of my life, I can't honestly say I was comfortable. I was never in a comfortable space. But the other thing that I did identify with, I never had time either. I found myself always working 2 and 3 jobs or working long hours to sustain my lifestyle. And even in doing that, it was still not enough. I still didn't have any time and I still didn't have enough money. And it kind of just made me feel like, I was kind of running on a rat wheel. Like, why can't I get further? Like, what is going on here? I feel like I'm a person full of talent. But despite all my talents, I'm not really going anywhere. And I thought, the money would be the thing that would, if I had more of it, then, I could do more things, which is true to some extent. But it really
Mm,
didn't start with the money. It was the way I thought about money.
mm, mm.
It was
Can
how
you
I thought about it.
Yeah, can you deep dive more into that? Because I think the folks need to hear that, definitely coming
Of
from your
us.
perspective. Because we grow up thinking, money is the root of all evil, or
Mhm.
the vice versa, where it's like, hey, as long as you got a good paying job, you're gonna be set. So coming from, what you know now, can you deep dive further into what we talked about?
Well, so like you said, for a lot of us, we were fed I guess the quote unquote American dream, which is actually a different dream from the Black and Brown community. Because even for a lot of us, even once you go to school, get that good job, it's still not what the other Americans experience on some level. It's actually a little bit worse, honestly. And
Right.
so for me, coming from a household where I see my mom always, I guess, surviving. I thought that, that the money that I had was always for the day. as long as I had
Mm.
enough for the day. And that for a lot of us, that meant being able to just pay the bills, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so I never thought I had enough to save. I never thought I had enough to invest because every dime that I had was for the bills. I wasn't taught how to pay myself. I didn't know that. And so, and I said, even in my bio that, a lot of that kind of attributes to your self-worth, because here's the thing, the relationship with money, even just that small thing as a child, being taught how to save creates a relationship with money. So if you're as a small child, when you're given money, the first thing you do is spend it till you have nothing. You're chasing the next dollar. Whereas if you were taught to maybe put something aside, you would always have something there, because then you give it. I think for a lot of us, we don't understand that we actually give the money value, but when we're just spending it, it's saying more about us than it does the money. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That's about preservation. You know what I mean? Preservation. And if you always feel like you don't have it, and then when you get it, you don't know how to keep it, you're always finding yourself like just spinning your wheels, you're spinning your wheels, you're spinning your wheels. And so for myself, even for like a lot of us, we came from those households where, mom, dad worked multiple jobs. They gave that to us. They never had enough, even working 2 and 3 jobs. Never was enough. It was always enough for the day. So what happened? I was taught that. So when I went out to work, I made enough. I think I was making money, but then my lifestyle it maxed out the money that I was getting.
Mm.
So it was never enough. It was just never
Right.
enough. And I wasn't taught how to save. That didn't make sense to me. And I'm like, what is going on here? How is it that I'm making more and still feeling like I'm getting less? Like I didn't understand what was going on there. And then the moment, honestly, what happened for me, you get in your 40s like most of us do, you start really looking at like, what is happening here? Like, where am I going and where I'm at right now, based on what I'm doing right now? Is it going to really get me to where I ultimately want to be? And then you start thinking about retirement, because, a lot of people are under perception that retirement is an age, and it's not. It's a number. It's really a
Right.
number, because we have a lot of people that look forward to retirement only to go back to work because they don't have any money to support their lifestyle. Social Security is not enough. Sometimes they even think, well, I got a retirement account. Well, how much do you have in this retirement account? And when you know the numbers, you quickly realize that when you retire, you run a higher risk of having to go back to work based on the numbers than if you would have started doing something a little bit extra. We all really have more money than we think to prepare
Absolutely.
yourself for the inevitable. To prepare yourself.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I definitely don't want to be the one working up, and I know this, no disrespect for those people that have to do that. I don't want to retire only to go to work back at Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot.
Right.
I don't
And,
want to do that.
having that constant cycle, and then it tracks on generationally because, when they hear, oh, grandma or grandpa got to go back to work because she didn't get enough in Social Security. No kids, somebody in their 20s, 30s, like, wait, that's retirement? Working for 40 years, busting my butt for a 9 to 5, and then I got to go back to work, struggling. So, yeah. So you have a solution. You have many solutions. You are
Mhm.
a life insurance license as well as investment license. Let's dive into as far as the services that you provide being a regional vice president.
Okay, so as a regional vice president, like when I talk about, just how our relationship with money, a lot of us are in debt. So debt is kind of like the chokehold. And that's just a behavioral pattern. Debt, that's really what it is. It's not so much that, we're late on paying the bills. It's a behavior pattern that started a long time ago, right? So when we're addressing debt, I think we deal with the numbers. Yes, we want to deal with the numbers, but we also got to deal with you as the person, and helping
Mhm.
you get your mind space right around your relationship with money so that you never go back into debt. So we do debt solution plans to help you come out of debt. We also help you with mortgages. Like if the first thing in most people, the American dream is also to own a home, but typically the barrier is always debt. So we address the debt, get you out of debt, to get you in a space where you can be qualified to get the mortgage, and then give you the resources to get a mortgage, right? And now that you got the mortgage, you got to protect your assets. You protect your assets through life insurance, okay? You have to protect your assets through life insurance, because one of the things prior to coming to this space, I didn't mention this, but I also worked in healthcare. I worked in mental and behavioral health. So through the pandemic, as a healthcare worker, I seen a lot of things, not just people dying. I seen the aftermath, and that's what people don't talk about, the aftermath. So as it relates to financial getting yourself financially stable and being financially literate. What people didn't understand was when I was working in the mental health hospital, the people that were direct, maybe let me see, relatives of people, breadwinners in the families that died from COVID,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these people became displaced.
Mm.
They didn't, because the home got lost. They became homeless. That was a conversation that wasn't being had. Because the breadwinner, number one, they may have not had life insurance, but then if they did have life insurance, they didn't have enough to pay the household or leave enough money for the people that are in the house to maintain the mortgage. So whole families were being displaced, ending up in a homeless population. People that couldn't grieve properly also came here because now they're stressed out, not just because, they lost someone, but now they're homeless.
Yeah.
Grief is trauma. And what happens is when you don't put things in place, it's not about money. Money is just a byproduct of what it is that we do. It's just a tool. And I think that's the problem. People, we don't understand it's a tool. It's a tool. It's not a consumption. It's not food. It's a tool that should be leveraged. And that's part of that mind space. But what I'm saying is because when people don't make that a priority, use it as a tool, I always tell somebody the quickest way to get $1 million is you buy it. You know how you buy it? You buy life insurance. You rent the wealth until you can build it. That's how you do it. Okay.
Oh.
And so I'm sorry. I get
No,
really,
you're
I want
good.
to get into this.
No, you're good, Erica. I want to know because people are listening, they're checking it out. I'm pretty sure they're probably even searching Erica Pressley as we speak, as they're listening and watching. I want to know how folks can get in contact with you, just to start their conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a personal touch person, so I actually give out my personal number freely because I'm the familiar, sensible agent. I'm not cookie cutter. I'm the people's people, and so my number is you can reach me at 267-285-3943. That's me directly, and of course you can reach me at my email address. You can always email. I'll give you my business. Actually, I'll give you my personal email. I don't mind.
Okay.
e.pressley at .ep@gmail.com. Again, that's e.pressley.ep@gmail.com. So definitely you can always shoot me an email. You can call me directly, send me a text message. Of course, E for Erica. I don't have no fancy names on Facebook. I'm Erica Pressley. So if you see this face, I am who I say I am. Or ES Erica S. Pressley. You can always reach out through Messenger as well. I'm very I do check those platforms because I feel like this is a crusade. It's a crusade against generational poverty, and then with a spiritual component. So, guys, if you've been someone that lost someone and know what it feels like to have to contribute to a GoFundMe, or be the recipient of a GoFundMe where the monies came up short, or had to be begging of the $100 and $200, or had to fried chicken or high fried fish, you know what we do?
Doing the dinners. Yep.
That's not I can imagine that has to be a horrible feeling because not only are you grieving, now you're trying to figure out the money to come up with funds to bury your loved ones and still survive.
Yeah. Even after the aftermath. And like
Even
you said,
after it.
oh man, I'm trying to shake it off because it's like I either know somebody or I've dealt with that same experience, going through, even when I had lost my grandmother, even though it was years back and I definitely wasn't in a financial position to even assist in any way, shape or form. But it's like you hear like, hey, how are we taking care of this? How are we taking care of that? And thankfully, I do have those family members that had chipped in, but it's like, wow, this stuff is real. And without that financial support, and people need to realize it's a tool. It's not for consumption, as you said. You can use it towards investment, as I usually push out on this platform, but also use it towards generationally. If you're teaching your young ones now, even if you're just the uncle or the aunt, you can still teach your niece and nephew as far as what they can be doing for themselves. So that way, 20 years down the line, they're not making the same mistakes that, our past has made. Throughout your success, because I know there's people's lives that you've changed over and over again. What's one story that you look back on and like, wow, I really made an impact there?
Absolutely. So, being on the other side of, people have people that, pass away and you got that component, but me being on the actual business side of it, it's nothing like being able to deliver a check. Because here's the thing, for a lot of us, we may not ever make $1 million in our lifetime. We may not ever make, some people may not ever make $100,000, may not even make 200. But when you take out life insurance and you can buy that money, basically that's what you're doing. And it's not that expensive. That's the other thing I want to say. It's not, you don't really have to think about it. I just think it's a priority thing. And once you better understand it, you're more prone to act on it. But just understanding that when somebody leaves, being able to deliver a check for $200,000 to a family that is a generational curse breaker. That could be the beginning of changing the lineage of that family's bloodline. I don't think you guys understand that, because now that could be the difference of that child and the family going from jail to jail.
Yeah, and that's usually the outlet or resource that they do look at, especially if you're growing up in that environment. Not saying that, even the ones that do grow up in the suburbs in the good environment, they still feel that, in order to get that quick dollar, they need to resort to something that may not extrude violence, but something that's like, okay, well, the only way I am going to get to where I need to get at is to steal. And that's not the case. So, wow, 200,000 in somebody's pocket. Definitely.
Absolutely. And given, and not only, as an agent, I believe in dealing with the family holistically. So not only just delivering that check, but then I'm going to show you, I want to be able, so here's the thing, when you're one of my clients, I try to get to your whole family, because I need the whole family to know who I am. So beyond, God forbid anything happens to any of you, that beneficiary knows who I am directly, because if you got an investment strategy that follows the check, so that now the money can stay, it can continue to duplicate, it can make friends, and it can stay in the family. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing, because you can give somebody a lump sum of money, but if they don't know what to do with it, we back at one again, right? I think the whole, you seen what happened to, what was that? What just happened not too long ago? They was giving all those PPP loans. I was like, what is going on out here? But anyway.
And that is certain people out there that's now in jail because of it.
Exactly. But just, then that's the consequences of the fraud. But what I'm saying is people probably had the most money they ever had in their life. And but you might have been broke within a month or two, because you had no education around what to do with it, so that you can continue to keep the money growing. And that's the other part of what I do.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what has been your biggest lesson, working with these families and, working with individuals? What has been your biggest lesson that you've come across in talking with folks and working with people?
I think my biggest lesson that I've learned, if I had to pick one, I would say the biggest lesson is, helping people learn or feel like they're worth it. Learning to understanding, like, I'm not just delivering a product or a service, but honestly helping people to revisit their self-worth. Because I think the reason why a lot of times too people can't really see it happen is because they can't see it for themselves. Because a lot of times you're dealing with self-worth issues, like we don't deserve it. We're so used to be dysfunctionally functional that this doesn't seem right. Like, is this real? Like, can that be possible? Am I worthy of this? So when you sit down with a family, a lot of times they only can see themselves where they are, whatever's going on, everything is, whatever brought them to this point, and traumas and circumstances. And so it's hard for them to see beyond their current conditions. But in this space, what my biggest lesson is, it's not about the product, honestly. It's really not about the product. That's, I think it's going to do what it's supposed to do. But I think dealing with the mindset of the person and understanding that I'm delivering something that can change a generation. And I need you to understand when I'm talking to you, you could be the generational curse breaker by just doing this.
Wow. That's impactful. That's impactful. I love that. And being an entrepreneur for so long, and I bring entrepreneurs on the show, my question I always ask them, what keeps you motivated? Because, you're not on that, 9 to 5 clock system where it's like, all right, in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna get paid. I ain't gotta worry about it. Like, you're working for yourself. So how do you stay motivated when you have those days where it's like, oh, I thought this person was going to get back to me, or why did this appointment cancel? How do you continue on and, stay focused, grinding and hustling?
Well, I think, honestly, every time the news, I don't watch it often, but, it's everywhere. It's kind of like, especially I'm in Philadelphia. I'm in the heart of it.
We
And
see it.
so it's kind of like, so it shows it's the kind of like, honestly, my environment is a constant reminder of this is why I do it. You know what I mean? So I don't have even if I'm not watching the news, social media, if I'm scrolling, you're going to hear something that happened and you're like, wow. And for me, I'm like, dang, this is one family I didn't get to. I wish what would have happened if I could have got to them. So it's kind of like for me, what keeps me going is I'm like, it's somebody out there that's looking for me. And if I stop, they may never find me. I may not be able to give them what they need, you know what I mean? Because they, to help change their life. Because I really do believe that what we do changes people's life. And again, I'm not a money-driven person. I'm a purpose-driven person. I am. And I believe I get paid as a byproduct of following my purpose, and that is helping people to see themselves beyond what they are. But because so many people they typically relate their personal self-worth to what they make or their money, it's kind of like that's the medium I have to use to get to the people. You know what I'm saying? That's the medium I have to use to get to the people. But as God has given me such a grace, I'm so grateful, such a grace to have the difficult, uncomfortable conversations. And it sounds sweet as pie, at the same time. Not everybody says yes. I understand I can't save everybody. That's God. That's up to God. But for those He has assigned me to,
I'm work.
I'm going to
Using it as
complete
that
the
vessel.
assignment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for that. And then I got one last question for you. But before we do, drop that phone number and email address where folks can reach out to you and connect with you.
Absolutely. You can reach me directly on my personal number, guys. Blow me up. I'm welcoming. There's gonna come a time. I'll be like, all right, now we'll put
All
that to
right.
the business line. But right now, I'm so hands-on. I am so hands-on because I'm so just very passionate about what I do and I want to touch everybody. So definitely you can call me. My personal cell phone number is 267-285-3943. And you can hit me on my personal email as well. E.Pressley, that's E.Pressley.EP@gmail.com. So you can reach me on my personal email as well. I'm sure to get back with you. And of course, if you're on social media, I don't have any handles other than my name, Erica Pressley. I'm sure if you see my face, you can identify me or Erica S. Pressley. Okay. For those that are on Facebook and I guess IG is ES Pressley. So it's pretty much simple. It's simple, guys.
Appreciate that. And then my last question, what gem, advice can you give to those that are looking to start their business or just may feel the struggle? We are in economic times. There is the quote unquote recession. I call it the build up stage because 5 years from now, even sooner than that, it's going to be a quick turnaround. This ain't nothing but the government talking. But last but not least, though,
here we go. You know exactly what's going on. You can fall for the okie doke if you want.
Right. Now I'm looking like, oh, okay, because if I Google 0809, you saw that we survived through that. But nonetheless, here we are. For those though that are still struggling and trying to figure out the direction they're going, can you give them some advice as far as to keep them motivated and keep them moving forward?
Well, I would say, listen, I think where there's pressure, there's diamonds that are going to come out on the other side. So if you're right now for yourself, and I'll just liken this to myself before I came into this space, I was definitely working a lot of hours, and although I love helping people, I did also find myself in a burned out space, and I was like, God, I can't keep working like this. What can I do? And so I allowed myself to be open. And it may not seem based on the environment where this is a good time to take risks, but that's just what the environment is saying. You have to be open and willing. I am a believer. I am a believer. I am a believer. And so what that basically means is if you see a thing and it makes sense to you, some things we've already prayed for, right? And God he will show you things. It may not be wrapped in a package that you ideally wanted to see it wrapped in, but it doesn't mean that He hasn't given you a gift. I think for a lot of us, we let our current or past experience block our own blessings, block our own opportunities because they don't look like what we're used to. But if you really think about it, if you continue to do what you're used to doing, you're going to continue to get the same thing. So maybe in this time, it might be time for you to step out and just try something different. The worst thing I think that you can do in a situation where you try something different is you just learn something new. I don't really see it as a loss. I really don't, because the time is going to pass anyway. But imagine you learning something new that can change your whole life versus you staying in the same place because you're looking for something familiar.
Erica, I really appreciate that. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Folks, if you're listening, if you're watching, the contact information will be down in the comments below that you can get in contact with Erica directly, the one and only Regional Vice President. But Erica, thank you again for coming on the show. Definitely looking forward to having you come back on to share some more tips and advice on how we can pretty much defeat these generational curses regarding poverty.
Absolutely. And I think on the next, I know we didn't get into all the nitty gritty of the products, and I wanted to also address a misconception, but there'll be another time I'm on here. He's going to invite me back. Guys, say y'all want me back. Just tell me y'all want me to come back on here. I'll come back. I promise. Definitely, but just kind of break down some of the miseducation around life insurance and the different types of products that are marketed predominantly to the Black and Brown community because of lack of education. So we can address that on the next one, but I do thank you so much, Daniel, for allowing me to share your space and giving me the opportunity to share my passion as it relates to the crusade against generational poverty and allowing me to talk to your audience. I am grateful for that.
Absolutely. Thank you again. And yeah, I'll be bringing you back on sooner than later.
All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Till next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the RNG Radio Show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes and future content. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at danielumstead.com. Stay blessed, my fellow millionaires.